We're coming closer to the big climax in the story of Elijah. He's coming to the end of his secret preparation, hidden away from public view. God has been training him, getting him ready. First at the brook, the widow's home, her son's death, but resurrection as he prayed through and saw this dear boy raised up again. No crowd applauding, no one amazed, just proving God in secret. You know, it's a very important part of God's purpose for many of our lives. There come those seasons where we're very hidden away. You find it with David. When he took out Goliath, he already had a testimony that nobody knew about. He killed the lion. He killed the bear. He'd had some secret training before, as it were, he went public. You think of the apostles with their training with Jesus before that event on the day of Pentecost when 3,000 responded. Secret training. Elijah's been through that secret training. He's been utterly true to God. And now God says to him, go and speak to Ahab. And so he goes and finds King Ahab, who's actually been searching for him. And he confronts him, and you find immediately Ahab says, you troubler of Israel. You know, as though the whole thing was the fault of Elijah, when the reality was Elijah was bringing truth and light. He was representing God. But this nation that had turned so far from God began to find the problem in the man of God. And that happened often throughout the Bible. You'll find Jeremiah, who speaks for God, called by God, sent by God. And they say he's committing treason. They throw him in prison. You find that when Nehemiah longs to rebuild the city, they challenge him. They say, you've got ambition. They're against him. And very often, when God begins to speak powerfully, there's a reaction. Arthur Wallace wrote a great book called In the Day of Thy Power about revival. He's got a chapter in there called A Sign Spoken Against. When God begins to move, very often there's reaction, hostility, you're the problem. We must be prepared for that. We've certainly known something of that over the years as we've tried to follow Jesus and build church in a relevant way, full of God, full of the Spirit. In our early days, a lot of challenge. Who do you think you are? And so on. We're just trying to follow Jesus, follow his way. You're a troubler of Israel. It's like when Paul began his ministry, went to Athens, he said, these men have turned the world upside down. In the NIV it translates it, these men are causing trouble everywhere. They're sharing light. They're bringing good news. Often the gospel, the real gospel, is seen as being trouble. Now, if the Christian faith gets kind of just mingles in, you know, blends in with other things, doesn't cause any real clear message to come across, you won't get a backlash. But when the church is authentic, when, like Elijah, it can say, I stand before God, and without any compromise really represents God, there'll be backlash, but there's also God. There'll be hostility, but Elijah moves steadily through, and God comes. God comes with fire, God comes with power. Beloved, let's keep believing in the God who answers prayer, who vindicates his own. Let's not just mix in. Yeah, let's take some of the backlash, trust God in the midst of it, but come through into God's moment. Next time we'll look at Mount Carmel, the day when God vindicated his servant and himself. God bless you through another day.